Yeah. Did you start last time, or did I start? I think you started last time.
Well, you did the intro spiel.
Yeah, but this time you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Did you ask me a question then?
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I can't remember.
Okay, question on the start of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll start. Influences. So we're just basically strictly talking about guitar or like bands in general, songwriting.
It could be whatever you want. Like, if you want to talk about just guitar influences, then you can do that.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah. I have like at least like a top 5 favorite like guitar players for me. I really enjoyed. Well, I mean, like Dave Mustaine has to be one because like I don't know, I really like his songwriting.
He's probably at least number 2.
What?
He's probably at least number 2 in your top 5.
Yeah. But yeah, so like definitely Dave Mustaine, Alex Lifeson from Rush, Randy Rhoads is a huge one too. Cause I remember being in like 8th till like 11th grade and just being stupid, like just trying to sound like him as much as I can, even though I can't. And then Brendan Small for one, because like he's just, I love his songwriting so much. It's like, imagine like mixing like Cannibal Corpse with Queen, basically. The best way I can describe his like songwriting, I find.
Yeah, between like the Death Clock and Galactic something?
Galacticon, yeah.
Galacticon.
Yeah. I love that. And then, what's the other one? How's one more?
Oh, there might not be that much influence in.
Who the hell is it?
Well, you did Dave Mustaine, Alex Lifeson,
Yeah.
Randy Rhoads, Brendan Smalls.
Yeah. I guess that's it because I can't remember the other one. But yeah, no, definitely those 4 guys at least. And those guys in order, probably I'd have to put Brendan Small as number 1, Dave Mustaine as number 2, Alex as number 3, and then Randy at number 4. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like your first main influence is kind of like just falling down the list as you go on and find other influences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know, it's like, for me, Brendan Smalls, more than just like his lead work and his guitar playing, was just like his song structuring. Because whenever you listen to like one of his songs, it's like, if you skip to like a minute into the song, it's not like the song is totally going to sound different by like 3 minutes in. You know, like it's just like, I just love that. Or it's like it's never just the same old like rinse and repeat intro, verse, chorus, maybe bridge, and then outro.
Yeah, it's not a stereotypical song.
No, yeah, it's all over the place, which I love. But actually, like all those guys kind of write like that, so it's like I don't know. I just like it. It's probably because I can't focus or shit. So I probably
feeds the ADD.
Yeah. But yeah. But what about you?
For guitar playing specifically, I don't know. More like in general.
Yeah.
Sort of just, I think more on like a subconscious level than it ever being like a really direct, you know, oh, I want to sound like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the first big kick for me was, I guess like with music, the first few would have been just what I was listening to.
Right.
But that was stuff like the Beatles' number 1 album.
Yeah.
Was something that I listened to a lot of as a kid. And then also Bob Marley, his greatest hits album. I listened to that a lot. And actually the first poster I had up in a room
was a Bob Marley poster?
Yeah, it was a Bob Marley poster. I didn't put it there.
Okay.
I think my dad just put it there, but it was always just on like a little sort of like nightstand thing off on the side of the wall, and it was always just there. Just I guess it's like that typical picture of him, just like
the colors.
yeah. And so that album, and then also Miles Davis Kind of Blue.
Okay.
He's like a jazz
Huh.
cat from way back in the day. I think that album was done in like the late 50s, 58, 59 maybe.
Okay.
And then just hearing all that kind of music, I sort of look at my playing now and I can see how that might have like
Influence.
taken root
Yeah.
deep down, because I love doing a lot of different kind of songwriting with catchier things, which probably would be like a Beatles influence.
Yeah.
And then getting into more like jazzy chords, stuff like that is probably definitely from listening to the Miles Davis album so much.
Okay.
But then really, as far as like guitar, hearing Metallica,
Yeah.
definitely. I remember a buddy showing me Fuel, and just my mind basically being blown that, going like, if you listen to like that Beatles #1 album, Bob Marley's Greatest Hits, Miles Davis Kind of Blue, and even like Irish Descendants. I remember there was
what was that one band that you showed me? It was a really good song. The cover art was like, it's like green all around.
that would be Irish Descendants.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one, probably that Raggle Taggle Gypsy song or the Rattlin' Bog.
I think it was the first one you said. Yeah.
Just really, really cool.
Yeah.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm not a vocalist, but being a kid and hearing, especially the Irish Descendants, like vocal harmonies, just
Yeah.
it's like we talked last time about creating that wall of sound. It's like they really like do that with the vocals.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But then like you listen to that, and then you kind of kick it into Metallica, and what a sort of stark contrast that is.
Oh yeah.
Between the two. Definitely me at 12 just was in shock of like, I didn't know that you could do that, like that was even a thing.
Oh yeah.
So that, yeah, probably more James Hetfield
over Kirk. Yeah.
Mostly because I remember when I started guitar, having a clear thought that like I'll never play leads.
Oh.
Because I'll never be good enough to do that, so
Right.
don't even try.
Yeah.
But then spending my first 2 years not even playing a scale, just doing chords and working on my rhythm playing. So that would probably be more like a James influence.
Okay.
But then I remember the next sort of like big change would be coming across Children of Bodom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So starting off Metallica, hearing that was like, I need to play electric guitar. Working on that, and then the game changer for sure would be Alexi Laiho, with like hearing his leads and it just being so good that I had to try.
Yeah.
Like hearing it and thinking, I don't care what I have to do, how hard I have to work, like I'm gonna be doing that. That's just, it sounds so good.
Yeah.
And a lot of that too, like, I like the songs a lot, but I think in his, especially with their, well, probably all of his playing, but especially with his earlier albums, there was a lot of that neoclassical, and even just not neoclassical, just straight up classical.
Yeah.
He started violin, I think 7 till 13 he played violin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he like took violin lessons for years. So when he picked up a guitar, like he had all of that theory, he had like a good ear, he had all of those, all of that like knowledge was there.
Right.
Just translating it over to a guitar. So yeah, definitely. I think Alexi Laiho would be the first really like inspiring sort of player for me.
Okay.
But I've always been more on like maybe a songwriting side than like a lead playing side.
Right.
But who else? Like obviously. See, most of these people aren't famous. I think the people who have had the biggest impact on me, would be people that I've like met in
Okay.
person. Like I think the most famous out of that would be Rick Emmett from Triumph.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I saw him 3 different times and talked to him, and that was just like a really sort of great experience.
Yeah, dude, he's such an underrated guitar player.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He's crazy good. And he's like, that's the thing with him, is it's like, he's not just like doing the rock stuff, like he plays awesome
He does it all.
Yeah, he's just great.
Because the first time I saw him was at a Guitar Workshop Plus. And it's like, it's not a summer camp, but it's like a week long, really good, intense, but not sort of too much,
Okay.
like a music week long thing that, like, even to this day, I would happily go back for a week. You know, I could be 40 and I still want to go for the week just because it's so much fun. But I met him there in Toronto.
Okay.
And yeah, he just sort of was there talking, playing a few things, kind of like a quick little like Q&A thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next time I saw him, I think would have been when he was doing like an Eric Clapton tribute sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
To, I think, the album with White Room on it, maybe.
Isn't that their first album? Like a Cream's first album?
Maybe. I don't know. But he was doing that, and he was just like killing it.
Okay.
So I've then seen him do like this totally different thing, because obviously, like, if you go and you listen to like Rock and Roll Machine,
Yeah.
that's just, you know, the song stops and he just tears it up on guitar, and then it like for like a long time,
Yeah.
and then he just goes back into the song. So then seeing that him in that Eric Clapton setting, but then he did another one, and I forget who the other 2 guitar players were, but they were totally like, it was a 3-piece acoustic guitar, more that like flamenco jazzy kind of thing. He was in the middle of these 2 phenomenal players, and he was just like gluing it all together. So he's definitely really like inspiring to see.
Oh yeah.
But then, yeah, beyond that, I mean, yeah, it's more like just I sort of like, my mind immediately goes to like what inspires me rather than like what influences, although it's kind of like sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember being in grade 9 and seeing Justin Drainville on stage,
Okay.
and he was actually playing a Children of Bodom song, Bed of Razors, and he had like a blonde wig on with like his Jackson V
Okay.
in front of the whole school. So I was just kind of coming out of my like 2 years of not really like wanting to really push myself into anything, to then like seeing him there do that in front of the whole school. It really made it like achievable for me.
Right.
Even though at that point it was like, I'm gonna have to work really hard, and I'm gonna spend the next 4 or 5 years, like, I have to really work for this. It's not gonna be easy, but like, there's a guy right there in front of me going to the same high school from kind of the same town. It's like, well, if he can do that because he put the work in, like, if I put the work in, I should be able to do that.
Right.
And then I remember Alec Morrison would be another one, because I took a few lessons with him, and he's got like a solo thing. Another guy from Haileybury, but he was also in a band called Crank Radio.
Okay.
And a lot of like, I guess like the punk influence in anything that I do came from him, and also just the do whatever it takes mentality of. I remember him telling me a story that they were carrying their amps and guitars like through snow just to get to Buddy's place to practice, and it's like brutal on the gear in February, just dragging things through the snow just so that it was there and they could jam. Like, hearing that really solidified that, like, you just gotta put the work in.
Oh,
you know, don't make excuses.
Totally.
Yeah, and I guess there's a ton of people like that, like, a ton of people like that aren't really like big and famous, but just people that I met. Like, I forget his name, but he's from Toronto, some musician. I don't know if it was like Steve or something, but he said to me, outgrow, like, just solid advice is outgrow the pond you're in before moving to the bigger lake.
Right.
And it's all like little stuff like that really like
Stuck with you.
Stuck with me.
Huh.
I think in some way it's almost unavoidable, maybe for everybody, but definitely for me, that everything I hear or see in some way influences me into what I'm going to do down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way of looking at things.
Yeah, because like, I look at stuff and if you like it, you'll just sort of naturally gravitate towards, you know, doing something similar to that.
Yeah.
But for me also, I see some things that I don't like, you know, and that makes me want to do my own thing that much more, you know, like,
yeah.
Maybe it's just like an opinion, like it obviously is, but I'd be like really prepared to sit down and like argue it, is like, I'm not a fan of mumble rap.
Yeah.
As like a really specific genre that is like, I don't like it. I don't like a lot of like, some of the music is okay, but a lot of it is like, really sticks to the formula and it's not, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
It's a lot of like noises that are gonna catch like children's attention and like suck them in. But then like, even just stripping that down and getting to like the vocal side of it where it's the mumbling,
Yeah.
like that's not something that requires talent.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can develop skill. It's totally just the imagery and, you know, the right people in the industry are making money, so they're going to keep cranking that out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, dude, think about how many people are, like, known, like, the hype beast sort of people, you know, who, like, just basically post shit on social media with their expensive-ass clothing, and they're just popular because of that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but it's like, I don't know, there's, like, there are some of them that, like, because, I mean, Buddy Tyler watches, like, not, like, all that kind of stuff, but, like, he watches this one channel where it's, like, just, they do stupid shit, but they also happen to be kind of, like, I wouldn't say hype beasts, but, like, kind of, like, that close, like, there are wealthier kind of people, but they are, like, also funny, so it's, like, there's, like, that kind of payoff, but, like, I don't know. It's...
Yeah, I mean, I could just be some, like, you know, prick of a metalhead white guy who's just, like, you know, that's not my thing. But at the same time, like, even rap, like, I think that, like,
real rapping,
is incredible. Like, actually going back, and, I mean, I'm not super into rap, so for me to list off names like Biggie and Tupac, like, obviously there's way more underground people who are killing it. You know, they just kind of made it big, so I heard about them, but, like, listening to their music, like, especially with Tupac, with, like, some of the really positive message, like, in his music.
Right.
You know, like, that is just, I think, what music as art should be, is that interpretation of what you see in the world, and then, like, kind of your opinion on it, you know, and then other people can interpret it how they want, but I think in general it should be like a, I don't know, positive thing. So that's, I mean, you know, I don't hate rap entirely. A lot of it I really do like. A lot of it, again, with that music too. Like, there's some killer guitar and a lot of that stuff.
Totally.
I forget the song names. It's not really rap, but B. Miller, whoever that is, like, I don't know, somebody. But I have heard a few of those songs, and it's like the guitar parts in it are super catchy. Like, I totally dig it. And the tones are good. So, yeah, I like a lot of that kind of music too, but basically, the mumble rap things, like, when I see things that I don't like, that's also kind of gonna push me towards, like, okay, I'm gonna hammer down and make my thing, and then also help other people as much as I can get their thing out there, because like, time really is precious, and it's like, there's better stuff to be listening to, investing yourself in. But then I guess ultimately it's like, whatever, other people can do what they want, which they totally can. Like, if that's your jam, I guess that's your jam.
No, yeah, because I mean, like, everybody's like entitled to their own opinions on things, you know. Like, even though that we may not agree, it's the, you know, like.
Oh yeah. Like, I'm not gonna think somebody's a bad person.
No, yeah.
For liking it.
Yeah, I mean, because like, I mean, like, even like, either one of our music, like our actual own music that we write, you know, it's like the whole thing with like the screaming kind of vocal style. It's like how many people get immediately turned away from music because of that, you know, but then they have their kids, you know, who are, you know, like younger and who are listening to this like mumble rap sort of stuff, and they're like kind of like, well, I mean, they might not like it, but it's like, you know, still got that kind of poppy background music that like, you know, is kind of catchy, you know, where it's like with our music, it's like, it's first of all already aggressive sounding, and then you throw this super aggressive style of vocal on it, which just, again, just pushes people away further. But then it's like, the thing is, it's like, a very good point that you brought up, and that like I totally agree with, this is like, the message behind like, all the lyrics usually are just really what do it.
Yeah.
You know? Because like, for me, like, the perfect example that I can find is like, that's also like, the fifth guitar player is Chuck Schuldiner.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chuck from Death.
Yeah, totally wanted, like, yeah, I don't know why I was like blanking out, but like, yeah, like him, and like not even just his guitar playing, but again his songwriting, but then his lyrics, like, especially on like the last like 3 albums that they did, like the lyrics on those albums are just like so well, like they're intelligent. You know, it's like, yes, he's screaming and like he's got like that death metal vocal style, but it's like he's talking about just things that actually matter, you know? Which like I prefer listening to that and understanding the lyrics and like, you know, having like a connection with the lyrics over just good songwriting, you know?
Yeah, well, I think, because I remember being a teenager and people always saying, like, how can you stand that music? Why do you listen to it? You can't even understand them. And, well, number one, especially as a teenager, like, I never listened specifically to lyrics. Like, whether it was singing or screaming, it was all just coming in as, like, that
an extra
complete
layer.
Picture of, like, it's an instrument with all these other instruments. I'm not digging into
the lyrics and all that,
the lyrical content, sort of thing. So it does, for me, it didn't matter what they were saying.
No,
it just, you know, I thought it sounded cool.
Because I mean because I mean, if you have a super aggressive song and you throw like super like harmony filled vocals, it's like it might sound okay, but it's like it's not getting that like kind of aggressive style that you're looking for, you know?
Sort of all depends. But then that too, like, rap, especially, like, I think it all started off with, like, it was like a spoken word thing in the streets. And it's really meant to be, like, actually poetic. Like, the metal, like, the screamo vocals, like, if you take the music away and you read the lyrics, for a lot of stuff that I've listened to, it tends to be really, like, introspective. And, you know, kind of, like, turning the lens inward, thinking about yourself, like, how you fit in with the world and everything. But I think it's not just a metal thing, like, obviously any genre would have lyrics about that, but again, if you strip it down, take the music away, and you read the lyrics, a lot of the times it's, like, actually quite poetic. The way that it's worded.
No, totally.
So that's pretty cool. What we're doing for time?
24 minutes,
Almost 25.
Yeah.
Well, there was something a while back. Made me think of a story. We gotta talk about other stuff.
It's gone
It
now.
take me too long to remember it. Oh no, and I got it.
Okay.
But it's I remember working out, and, you know, like, working out in Alberta, and there was this guy who started this conversation up about what like musical genius was and is like.
Okay.
Which actually brings up a great question of like who today, like current artists, 2019, 2020, who is a musical genius? Like really like amazingly ahead of their time and above everybody else. And I had a great conversation with a guy about that where we basically said like we're not going to know because there isn't that sort of hindsight of looking into the past of what they were doing now. Like, 20, 30 years from now, people will be able to look back and say, like, yeah, these people were brilliant. Kind of thing. But in the moment, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
But basically, what he said was Kanye West, I think it was, is a musical genius.
Okay.
And I think, like, on the radio, come across his music a little bit. Can't say that I'm a fan. But just the conversation there was kind of interesting because for me, like this guy was like convinced like he's brilliant, like his lyrics are brilliant, the music is amazing, and he just like everything he did with he's just King Midas, everything he touched was gold kind of thing.
Right.
And for me, my first thought was, like musical genius for me is like
more than just lyrics.
Well, it's like classical composers like Bach.
Oh yeah.
16 something is when he lived, so 16 whatever.
Yeah. Before music.
It's 2019, and I'm talking about him.
Yeah.
Like I've not only I'm not just talking about him, but it's like I learned the toccata part of his toccata and fugue, and it's like I've played that in front of people before.
And they know it.
And it's just like people have like kind of been blown away at like as if you're playing that because they're totally from like a classical background.
Oh yeah.
And again, like I'm not super into the classical world, so everybody I'm gonna name is sort of like atypical.
Yeah.
But it's like again Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Chopin, people like that, where it's like, Paganini too. Like you look at these people where it's like so long ago when the sun was either up or you had a candle or fire going, and that was like electricity wasn't happening. Music theory didn't even exist.
No, yeah. Whenever Bach was around, there was no such thing as it yet.
Like
I
think back in the day, it used to be like the entire musical staff was one, and then they decided we got to split this up because this is just too much. We don't, paper's kind of hard to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like being in that sort of like a context and like a time where if you didn't hear music in person, you were never going to hear music. So for those people to make that great music without the technology of even the past 100 years, or even like again theory didn't exist.
No,
but they still they knew in their head was like, hey, well these things work, so do that. I think for me those people are musical geniuses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally.
And that's kind of like the gold standard because 200 years from now, people are still gonna be
hearing about
Beethoven.
Oh yeah.
Like guitar lessons for me. Once we get through a few like exercises, like right hand, left hand things, it's like the first thing is Ode to Joy.
Okay.
And it's just like, there you go. Even me as a kid, like that song. There was a commercial in the 90s of like Drink Milk, Love Life, and it was like set to the Ode to Joy melody.
Oh, okay.
And it's like that. I mean, in 200 years,
it's still gonna be around.
Know that people are gonna be talking about Kanye West the same way.
No, yeah,
so,
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's funny, like, cause I mean, I guess that's a thing too, cause it's like, if you strip it down to like not having like genius, but just great musicians of our time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
To me, the first one, because like whenever you said musical genius and started talking about all that, to me like the first player like a nowadays player that came to mind was, for me anyways, was Pliny. Because like I don't know, I guess it'd be I wouldn't say that he's a musical genius, but like his like, his music was totally something new to me whenever I first heard it. Because it was like, it wasn't aggressive, it wasn't like totally metal, but it wasn't like just, it was like a huge combination of a bunch of things, and it sounded beautiful, you know, like, and everyone that like I've ever shown it to, it's like, they might not totally like it, but it's like, the first thing that I always say is like, it's actually like really relaxing, even though it does have like kind of harsh drumming to it and stuff like that on certain songs, but it's like, to me, it's like, his music is just, it's beautiful. I don't know. Like, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, well, I think that's what music kind of should be. Art should be beautiful.
Oh, yeah, no.
I think art is the kind of thing that, like, there's surviving, and then one of the few things, like, in life that elevates our existence from that bare, like, survival mode to, like, actually living is art.
Yeah.
And, you know, just that kind of, like, appreciation of, like, beauty out there, you know? Or tragedy, too. That's, like, another whole aspect of art, but... Yeah, definitely. But when you take away, like... Yeah, kind of when you take, like, maybe, like, the genius out, it's just, like, really great musical.
Oh, you know? Yeah, there's tons.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
That list grows pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, like, that, too, it's, like... I mean, really anything inspiring can be considered great, you know? Like, I mean, like... you probably wouldn't take this as a compliment, or you probably wouldn't take it as anything, really, but it's, like, to me, even your music... The first time I heard it, especially your second album, like, that was super inspiring to me. Because I remember, like, we listened to it together, and you're just like, I do that a lot with music, where it's like, I'll listen to it, and it won't really faze me, but then I'll re-listen to it again, and then just in different formats. So it's like, I'll have it with, you know, earphones or headphones, and then I'll listen to it in the car, and then it's like, it will just slowly become this bigger thing. It's like, oh, you know? Like, so it's like, even that, like, your second album, to me, it's like, that I was in whenever your second album came out, I was really in a position in my life with music where it's like, it kind of felt like I was going nowhere because of the current state with like the former past members of ForbiddenCast and stuff like that. Not that they're bad guys in any way, you know, but it's like, to me, I felt stuck because I felt limited with what I can do, but I knew I could do so much more. And then listening to your music, it was like, there's someone in my hometown who's also doing this far beyond just this kind of typical metal thing, you know? Because your music has so many different layers and like stuff like that in it too. Whereas like, to me, that's what inspired kind of my Celestial Quest idea, in a sense. Because to me, it was like, this is like, I can have my own thing where I can, if I wanted a song to be aggressive and then end kind of on a good note, it can be. You know, it doesn't just have to be the strict gunmetal grade kind of... Same
thing start to finish.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good compliment. Definitely, like... you know, I'd say it's sweet, you know? Mission accomplished on some level, for sure.
Yeah, but it's like, that's the thing, too. It's like, it happened, with your music, it happened to me. So it's like, who's to say it's not going to happen in 10 years with one of your students, or even just other people who do have your music, you know, sort of thing. Where it's like, to you, it's like, you're just kind of doing it because you enjoy doing it, it's your passion. It's the same thing with me, you know, writing my music, it's like, it's my passion, it's what I want to do, it's what I like doing. But like, I'm never thinking about, I'm hoping this will inspire someone. To me, it's like, I just want to do this because I do. You know, like...
it's definitely that.
Yeah.
For me, first, is like, I really am just doing it
because
for myself, so that, you know...
Totally. Yeah.
When I'm 50, you know, it's probably going to be unavoidable, but, like, rather than have that midlife crisis of, I need to form a band, I need to go for it, because I'm running out of time. It's like, well, do it now, so that in the future, looking back, at least when like the panic starts setting in, it's like, you know what, like I did something.
Yeah.
You know, at least for myself, and then if there's any sort of like impact outside of that, that's all like a total bonus. And it's,
yeah.
You know,
yeah, totally.
Definitely awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably like
Getting there, yeah.
well over.
Yeah, well, yeah.
35. That's not bad.
Yeah. So we're probably gonna do these podcasts a little shorter. So the first one was like an hour, and like I was saying to Lucas, I was listening to myself, and I was just like, boy.
He was boring himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the podcast a little bit shorter, just for the sake of like having more ideas for the next one and stuff like that. But hopefully, half an hour to 20 minutes will be good enough for everybody else. I know I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I finished my coffee and we ended the last one. I just finished my coffee now.
There you go. So I mean, that's gonna be the judge, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for watching. Adios.
Cue the music.